Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our safeguard against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits proud of this world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Pray for us. 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 Pray for us.
Saint Agatha.
Pray for us.
Saint Cecilia.
Pray for us. Saint Margaret Mary. Pray for us. Saint John the Evangelist. Pray for us. Saint Paul. Saint Clement. Saint Ignatius. Saint Patrick.
Saint Vincent the Little Flower.
Pray for us.
Saint Bernadette.
Pray for us.
Saint Teresa Lisieux.
Pray for us.
Saint Alphonse.
Pray for us.
Saint Denis.
Pray for us. Saint Francis. Pray for us. Pray for us. Pray for us.
Saint Cyril and Methodius.
Pray for us. Pray for us. Pray for us.
Saint Pope John Paul II.
Pray for us. Pray for us. Saint Joan of Arc. Pray for us. Pray for us. Pray for us. Pray for us. Pray for us.
Good riddance.
We're gonna do this now. Just take a right, we're gonna do a drive-by again. 100 people are coming down the sidewalk to protest. Okay, everybody remember that we do not engage. I would say that we employ radical political theater to draw attention to the absurdity of the pro-life movement.
The Satanic Temple is an activist organization of self-identified Satanists, founded in 2013 as a reaction to the increasing influence of the religious right in American politics.
We're so used to the theocratic agenda being pushed forward in bills and legislation. It's become a fact of life in the American culture right now.
We empower women to be creative about protecting their own freedoms and access to reproductive health.
In 2015, the group filed a lawsuit seeking exemption from recently introduced abortion laws in Missouri on the grounds of religious freedom. Through the suit, they are appropriating the tactics of the religious right to advance their cause.
If we're asking for religious rights for all, then we need to actually understand what that means. That means religious rights for Satanists as well.
We're in a parking lot behind the Planned Parenthood location. Apparently, tons of protesters just showed up, and when we were driving by, we saw so many people with signs, and there was some sort of like bishop with a ceremonial awning over him. So we're gonna head in, and it seems like people are kind of nervous that this is gonna be a little bit extreme.
I think that our actions are extreme and do put us in a position of confrontation.
Oh my God, babies!
There's no way that we can come there and have a logical discussion or argument, and so we don't want to give them credit for this absurdity.
I think that they're doing what they're doing is for attention, and I think they're trying to upset us and hurt us. The satire that I saw them using today is the same stuff that I've seen at the National Holocaust Museum that the Nazis used against the Jews. And I think that they're trying to hurt God ultimately.
The meaning is a little bit lost on us.
We're talking about the abstraction and fetishization of the fetal image as one that speaks and diminishes women's power and voice.
Expose the violence of abortion, and that's what those posters
I disagree that abortion is violent, and I believe that your actions are violent.
What happens to in an abortion wouldn't be done to a dog.
Also, people don't treat dogs the same way that your protesters treat women outside clinics.
Oh, right.
You know what? And it's completely okay that we disagree, but you cannot force your opinions on others.
And what is your relationship to like Satan as he appears in the Bible?
I think the satanic figure in the Bible is one that really inspires a rebellion in mankind against a tyrannical God.
But you don't like actually worship Satan.
We don't believe in, like a guy with a red poker down in hell waiting for us to torment us for the rest of our life. And we don't believe in supernaturalism or any element in that way.
Joining us now, Lucian Graves, spokesman for the Satanic Temple.
Essentially, we view Satan as a symbolic embodiment of the ultimate rebel against tyranny. The aesthetic of Satanism resonates with us. To us, it's genuine. It's not just something we're playing with as psychological warfare against other people. My original introduction to the idea of Satanism came very early when I was a kid.
To some, it's a religion. To others, it's the practice of evil in the devil's name. It exists, and it's flourishing.
The general culture at the time was very oppressive. These ideas that you couldn't listen to heavy metal music without getting into horrific crimes. You couldn't play Dungeons and Dragons, or you were down that suicidal, homicidal spiral into Satanism. And when you're a kid, you believe these things, but more and more as time went on, it compelled me to look deeper into what the truth was behind these claims. And at the same time, I'm losing any respect for established religious organizations. And these kinds of things all converged into me really embracing the symbolism of Satanism.
Some of the Satanic Temple's actions have provoked violent reactions from anti-abortion and Christian groups. Members of the temple are regularly the target of hostility and vitriol.
Desecrating our Lord.
People regularly have shown interest in burning down my house while I'm in it, sleeping at night.
There's definitely fear towards us. And
Have you gotten any threats?
yes. I mean, every time I do an action, I actually carry a will in my pocket.
People have also said that they would show up to an event and would plan to shoot me. In fact, people have told me what kind of bullets they've recently purchased for the gun that they own. And so I think I'm somewhat of a hated human being.
Why is reproductive rights such a good fit for the Satanic Temple?
So we just have 7 tenets, and they're rather humanistic and straightforward. They're the third tenet that states the body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone, and that we should defer to scientific fact the best we can. Those have really been the basis of our claims against abortion restrictions.
The Satanic Temple filed its first lawsuit in 2015 in Missouri, one of the battlegrounds for new anti-abortion restrictions. We traveled there to meet the plaintiff in the Satanic Temple's suit and experience firsthand how the war over abortion is fought in one of the most divided states in the nation.
Pray that a baby is born.
God is just working so hard, and the evil one is so upset that we're doing so well, which is why the devil's mad, and I'm glad.
Father, we would ask that abortion would end. And Father, I would like to see it start in Missouri.
Republican Representative Mike Moon is one of the most hardline anti-abortion legislators in Missouri. He has introduced several controversial anti-abortion bills, including one called the All Lives Matter bill.
I'm elected by about 32 to 35,000 people. They knew up front that I was pro-life. And so that's one where I drew a line in the sand initially. And so that's the hill that I'd probably die on. And there's no compromise.
For you, would you say, personally, is this a scientific belief or is it a religious belief?
I think it's both, yeah.
So if the law were written with everyone acknowledging that we were created by a higher being, wouldn't it be a religiously motivated law?
I'd say there is a substance for that. Yeah, because since I believe that God created me, and I do attempt to follow his teachings as best I can, I think you're right. there is a foundation of faith in that. There could be a lot of debate as to, is this a person or is it not? You could make the same argument with kittens and dogs and tadpoles and all sorts of things. When does it actually become a dog or a cat? And I would think that most people, especially those who are pet lovers, would think it unconscionable to reach into a womb of a cat or a dog and rip out that forming pet.
The Planned Parenthood in St. Louis is the last remaining abortion clinic in Missouri. On our way inside, we were greeted by a group of volunteers who we initially assumed were working for Planned Parenthood.
Take a look over it. Please let us know if we can ever help you out. There's a bunch of free health resources in the area. Have a good day.
Do people ever confuse you for Planned Parenthood volunteers?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think that happens?
I think just because of the nature of us being out here, since we are like right outside the gates, but we really just tell people like when they do confuse us with that, we say, no, we work with this different organization, but we want to let you know this XYZ information.
Do you think that in Planned Parenthood they're not told that they have other options?
I can't say I don't know, but that's just what we try to do out here, is to let people know.
But if you've never been in a Planned Parenthood, how can you know what sort of things they're offering people?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should deter what we want to let people know as well.
We'd love to see this place go out of business, and we pray for that. But the thing is, we're really here to help women that are confused, that think this is their only option when it's not their only option. And in fact, it's the worst option.
And society will
Let me finish, will you, Marianne?
I just wanted to say one thing.
Well, you can say it after I finish. Because we're just here to let women know they have another option.
They kill 300-400 babies a day. It's murder. In fact, for the doctor, I don't even want to call them doctors. They're worse than anything I can think of.
So how has the landscape for reproductive rights changed in the past few years?
There has been a never-ending onslaught in terms of chipping away at women's access to basic reproductive health care services.
Of all the abortion restrictions introduced recently, Missouri's 72-hour waiting period has the biggest impact on women seeking the procedure. This law mandates that any woman who wants an abortion must go to the clinic for an in-person counseling session, at which she receives an informed consent pamphlet filled with pro-life propaganda, including a section that states that life begins at conception. Afterwards, she must spend 72 hours reflecting on the information she's received before returning to the clinic to actually get the abortion procedure. The 72-hour waiting period and the informed consent material are the key elements of the Missouri abortion law the Satanic Temple opposes.
We're about to meet with Mary Doe, who's the lead plaintiff in the Satanic Temple's case against the state of Missouri. She's asked us to keep her identity anonymous because she's afraid that the pro-life movement will harass or threaten her if they find out her real name.
I became aware that I was pregnant.
And you already have a child?
Yes. Well, I mean, that was a big part of the decision as well, is I don't know if I'd be able to financially support them both. And as I began to look into it, I realized how many roadblocks and things were set up, and just how ridiculous, some of it was. Just one clinic in an entire state. If you're in the far corner of the state and it's several hundred miles and you don't have a vehicle and you don't have the money to get a bus or rent a car, it's horribly stressful. But also, to force them to sit and reflect for 3 days over a decision that it isn't made overnight. I think it's trying to impose guilt and shame.
Thinking about this region in general, where you've seen closures in so many neighboring states, how does that make you feel to kind of see this drought of reproductive care?
When you see these clinics closing and these new bills and laws and regulations being passed, you also see a rise in the do-it-yourself abortions and, women getting seriously hurt or killed, It's scary. It's scary.
If we win the lawsuit in Missouri, and when that happens, I think it will be very demoralizing to those on the Christian right who are fighting so hard to put these restrictions into place now, when they realize that the privilege they've given themselves can now be extended to other parties, and there's no legitimate way to take that away. They're going to find themselves living in the real world, and they're going to find that a very bitter pill.
And the biologics companies make money on it. It's such an atrocity, such a desecration of innocent human life. We want the entire world to know what's happening, and that's why we're out here. This is the first actual annual nationwide demonstration of Planned Parenthood. This will be happening every April 23rd until Planned Parenthood is completely out of business. We don't know
Fetus first!
Look! Oh my God!
Anthony!
Oh my God! Babies!
Anthony!
Oh my God! What are you guys? Dirty stuff! Oh my God, babies! Save the fetus! Oh, it's too dirty! You got a dirty diaper! Oh my God! Diaper! Change the diaper! Ah! Woo! Oh my goodness! Put that back on! Don't take no! Put the man part back! Put the man part back! Oh my goodness! No man part! The man part's back in! He was in the first place! Oh my goodness! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Look at that! Oh! Oh! Put on his nipple! Oh my God! Oh, he looks dirty! Somebody change that diaper! Baby! Oh my God! Why are you putting that on? Why? Too old. It's too old to be a baby. Come on. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Coming up is man parts next He's not wearing enough clothes.